This podcast is sponsored by Active Skin Repair, a skin health company helping people heal with natural, non-toxic medical grade ingredients. Honestly, it's only the one first aid supply we have right now because Active Skin Repair can be used to treat a wide range of skin issues, including cuts and scrapes and burns and sunburn, which is huge here in Arizona, rashes and other types of skin damage. It's also safe and non-toxic, making it suitable for use on all skin types. I use it on my son's mosquito bites all the time. And it can even be used on rosacea and eczema and acne-prone skin.
Yeah, it's crazy. And seriously, with over 500,000 happy customers and thousands of 5-star reviews and ingredients that are safe and clean and can be used from your youngest member of your household all the way up to your oldest, everybody has one simple solution for all of your family's skincare needs.
So go visit www.activeskinrepair.com to learn more about Active Skin Repair and get 20% off your order. Use code NOGUILT. That's activeskinrepair.com to get 20% off your order. Use the code NOGUILT.
If you're not getting enough rest, that not only are you tired, but that it also decreases your body's ability to produce hormones that are needed for everything, for stress resilience, for your libido, for all of that.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
And if you didn't know by the title, we're talking about sex today.
We're talking about sex, baby. We're talking about you and me. We're talking about other good things. And come on, man.
Yeah. Otherwise known as if our teenage daughters weren't embarrassed by what we did before, now we're just putting the final nail into the coffin. It's so funny. Because I've been talking a lot about Instagram and I don't use my kids on Instagram. I never say anything like that. But the recent reel I did with, you kind of want to drive away in the car, the mom intrusive thought. My daughter's like, well, Mom, it's really embarrassing when people from my school follow you and they're like, your mom wants to drive away in her car. I'm like, okay, well, also, this is a real thought that moms have. It's totally based in truth. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I'm going to block all your friends right now. And I looked on her Instagram and saw what mutual friends that we had. And I went and I blocked every single one of them on No Guilt Mom. Yes, wow. I did. First of all, they have no basis to follow No Guilt Mom. They really don't. They're not moms. Yeah. The only reason they'd be following it is to harass her or razz her. So no, I'm not into that.
Mine don't they don't just not follow us. They get upset if I try to talk to them about anything about work. They're like, nope, don't want to know. I don't want to know. It was, I think that the funniest thing has ever happened is that since dealing with perimenopause and a current advertiser we have on the podcast, and I'm doing the ads for MIDI Health, my daughter will walk by and she'll hear me say, are you suffering from vaginal dryness? And she's like, I don't want to know, Mom. She because my office is, the first floor of my townhome. So there's nothing that closes it off. There's just a stairway that goes upstairs. So she'll be on the second floor and she comes running down the stairs and just stares at me.
Oh my gosh.
This is your future, young lady. Go away.
Well, we have so much for you today in this podcast, talking about sex and how it's so much more than just the physical aspect. And if you've at all felt guilty about just not being in the mood, oh my gosh, this episode is for you because you're like, damn right, I'm not in the mood. So we hope you enjoy this episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, Bree, we are ready to get into this discussion right here because this is actually spurred by another podcast interview I did on C-Rock's podcast, where he asked me about how he, from a man's perspective, when women don't feel in the mood and how to get them more confident about their body. And I was like, hold on right there. It is not about just how they feel about their body, because sex starts in the mind first. And it really has little to do. I mean, it has something to do with the body, but it starts in the mind first.
Okay, so I have had different experiences with different people. And I think that for my bulk, men, it's more of a physical thing.
Yeah.
And they have a very difficult time understanding that there's a lot more about it for most of us women.
Yes. And if I was not a classy person, I would put the sound effect as a ding right now at that. But no, I'm classy. I'm a classy person. So that sound effect did not appear because I'm classy. I'm classy.
The ding or boing.
Classy. I'm classy. It didn't happen.
Right. It's just, I feel like it's a scenario that so many of us understand. Like, no matter who you are, no matter what your day looks like, chances are good that a typical day for us, we have work that we do either in the home or outside the home. We normally come home, then we have household tasks to do. The kids are wanting our attention. They're wanting hugs. They're touching. My dog alone, the licking. My dog, we've decided he must have some degree of OCD, and he licks when he's anxious.
Oh my gosh, my dog licks as well. I can't get her away from me. There's no point in the day if she's by me where I feel there's not another being on me. My dog has the same thing.
Mine will even do the weird thing where he's licking and staring at you at the same time. Is this okay? Can I keep licking your leg? Okay, I'm gonna get the skin off. Here we go. But anyway, I digress. The point is lots of touching, lots of kneading. And then maybe you're hot because you were in the kitchen. It's summer here in Phoenix. So anytime I have to cook, I am hot because it's oh my gosh.
And just to add to that, yesterday I was cooking in the kitchen and I was just sweating. And even putting the air conditioner down, it's
dripping. You're dripping.
Yes.
I had one night where it was just me and my husband, and I just threw off the shirt and was cooking in my bra. He came downstairs and was like, "This is interesting." I'm there's no
I've done that. I've been in my athletic bra, and I took a pan out of the oven, and now I have a nice little scar line right there, right under my rib cage, because I wasn't paying attention to
God.
the pan hit me right there. I have a scar from a hot cookie sheet coming out of the oven.
Oh, that's
so be careful if you're cooking naked and it's hot. But
I'm thinking, should we do an episode about cooking naked or cooking
naked?
Sparsely dressed? Is that a thing?
Sparsely dressed.
Leave us a comment.
We have to think about.
Leave us a comment. I want to know if that's a thing. If that's a common thing. I thought I was unique. Apparently not. But you and I have a lot of the same thought process, so I'm not surprised that you and I would do something similar. Actually, we show up in the same clothes a lot of times, even during the day.
It's true. That's true.
But yeah, so you are done. You have just had so much going on. You finally get the kids to bed. You go in your room and you just to take a shower and go to bed. And your husband, you walk in and he just looks at you with those little eyes and does a little eyebrow thing,
The eyebrow thing.
I'm thinking back to your 16 candles. Yeah. Yeah. And you're just no. And you never want to do it. If you only knew.
Yes. If you only knew. It's it's the hardest. Haha. Journey. Sorry. Anyways.
Oh,
that's what she said.
Wait, hold on.
Again,
okay.
I'm classy, Brie. I'm classy. I don't make those jokes. I would have made a hardest joke, but I didn't because
you did it? Wait, hold on.
Because I did. I think that it.
It's a little late, but hey.
It's so interesting though, because we had Amelia Nagoski on the podcast. She wrote the book Burnout with her sister, her twin sister, Emily. And Emily is also, I believe she's a sex therapist. Maybe it's a researcher or a sex researcher. And she wrote the book Come As You Are, which Brie has right here, The Surprising New Science That Will Transform Your Sex Life. And I believe in the book, she digs into these things about how it is in the brain. And also, there's so much other stuff going on. I mean, you list right here, Brie, stress and high levels of cortisol can decrease your libido, which I mean, which woman doesn't have high levels of cortisol and stress in their lives? Like, I think
Exactly.
all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing like all the things you have to take care of during the day, that means like you're saving energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and actually, so like oddly enough, as we were getting ready to do this podcast, you and I both belong to Tia Medical, which they have a location here in Phoenix, LA, and New York, I believe.
And it's just for women. It
Yeah.
is just a doctor's office for women.
And
Mhm.
it just so happened that 2 days before we did this, they had a Zoom session about sex and pleasure. And so I sat in on that. I was like, oh, do some research. And I got some interesting information that, like, when they said it, it was both a light bulb and a duh. Like, what they said made so much sense. So, like, they talked about how, like, if you were tired, if you're not getting enough rest, that not only are you tired, but that it also decreases your body's ability to produce hormones that are needed for everything, for stress resilience, for your libido, for like all of that. So instead of thinking like I'm just tired, if I just get some more sleep tonight, I'll be fine tomorrow or whatever, it doesn't work that way. You have to get back on to adequate amount of sleep for your body to get back to normal. So
It's like a cumulative thing, right? So like if
yeah,
you're not getting enough sleep during the week, it's not like you can catch up on weekends and be fine.
exactly. So that was something that I definitely was like, well, that makes sense because I felt like such a horrible wife right after I had my kids, and I didn't want to do anything. Like I was like too tired. I wasn't interested in sex, and I felt like I was a horrible wife because here my husband wants to connect with me, and I've had babies sucking on the boobies all day, been puked on, peed on, pooped on. I'm tired. I don't even have the energy to take a shower. And I'm a bad wife because I have absolutely no sexual attraction to this person. But
Mhm.
knowing that the stress and the touched out and the not getting enough sleep, I wish I had known then, and or my husband had known then that that could have such a big impact. I think maybe he would have tried things differently.
Women put like so much pressure on themselves when they aren't in the mood for sex and sexual
Yeah,
attraction because like
do.
I've gone through those guilty feelings as well. And I'm going to share what I went through right after this.
Today's podcast is sponsored by MIDI Health. I have to tell you guys, if you are a woman over 40 like I am, and you have started dealing with some crazy stuff like hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, vaginal dryness, weight gain, all of these things that you just are like, what the heck is happening to my body? I'm here to tell you, you don't have to accept it as another part of aging. All of these symptoms can actually be related to perimenopause and menopause. And yes, it can start in your 40s, but I have found a solution. MIDI Health. Seriously, this place is amazing. You can have virtual visits. Their clinicians are experts in menopause. They understand the frustrations, and they also have full range of care options for you. Schedule a virtual visit, and you'll come out of the experience feeling heard and with a plan that will work for you. Book your appointment with MIDI Health today. Visit joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com. So in our house, meal planning is a huge headache.
Mine too.
My husband and I like to eat more low carbs, kind of keto, but my daughter, well, you know her, she's a bit picky. HelloFresh has a new program called Build a Plate Meals. They are designed to let every member of your household create their perfect plate. So I have no more headaches trying to find a meal to accommodate everybody. I just find parts for everybody in the meal. And HelloFresh makes it so easy that everybody will enjoy what I'm making. And I am like so looking forward to trying out the Fiesta spiced chicken with avocado salsa and roasted sweet potatoes this week.
What I love is like HelloFresh's easy to follow recipes include pre-portioned ingredients.
And Green Chef and Every Plate, who you've heard us talk about before, they are now owned by HelloFresh. And now with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, I mean, seriously, there is something for everyone.
I have to mention, for a limited time, kids eat free. They eat free. So go to HelloFresh.com/NGMkids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while your subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/NGMkids.
HelloFresh, it's America's #1 meal kit.
It's no secret that weight loss drugs and GLP-1s are all anyone is talking about right now. I mean, I've had friends on them. I'm sure that you have heard about them as well. And I wanted to let you know that you don't need to be rich and famous in order to get access to these medications. Through Hers, you can get access to a budget-friendly weight loss program personalized just for you. Now, Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing access to GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy, as well as oral medication kits. So start your free online visit today at forhers.com/NGM. That's FORHERS.com/NGM for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/NGM.
Not available everywhere. Hers weight loss includes compound products which are not approved nor verified for safety or effectiveness by FDA. Prescription products require provider consultation. Restrictions apply. Actual price to customer will depend on product and subscription plan purchase.
So we're talking about the guilt that comes from not wanting to have sex with your partner. Because I think it's an issue that no one really talks about. And like you see on Sex and the City, I always used to watch that show and I'm like, how do they have the energy for this all the time? Oh, wait, not all of them do. They don't have any kids. And the one with the kid, Miranda, has no energy whatsoever and is mad at Steve all the time. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds
that
right.
checks.
Yeah.
Next. So like it's this tiredness thing. And even like I have ulcerative colitis and I'm dealing with like a long-term disease on top of it. And yet I still give myself guilt. Even if I am in pain and going through a flare, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have a flare right now. I feel really bad. It's like, dude, when are we going to like give ourselves permission to actually honor our own bodies instead of thinking that our bodies are just there as an instrument for the pleasure of our partner?
Okay, I think I actually have a theory about this. Because we hear all the time about the importance of keeping that physical relationship going. And in a marriage, you have to keep the physical relationship going. And I feel like for a lot of us women, that just becomes another check on the checklist. Another chore we have to do to be a good wife. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I think so. And I think like the physical relationship is actually a lot more than just penetration or like orgasm.
Yes,
It's cuddling, it's hugging, it's sitting next to each other. It's like giving your partner a kiss. That counts as the physical relationship as well. And I don't think that that is acknowledged quite as much as it needs to be. Another thing I think really gets in the way is we talked with the author who came on recently who wrote On Our Best Behavior about, the 7 deadly sins that really infiltrate women's lives. And one of those sins is lust. And this was really brought to the forefront of my mind when I was reading this book called Margot's Got Money Troubles, which I've been talking about a lot lately, by Ruthie Thorne. It's fiction. And it is about a 19-year-old woman who has an affair with her college professor. There's a huge power dynamic there, by the way. She gets pregnant. The college professor wants nothing to do with her because, of course, he's married. But she decides to have the baby. And right after she has the baby, she has trouble finding childcare. Like her mom won't help her out. I mean, not that her mom like needs to help her out. Not that that should be an expectation, but like she can't get help for childcare. So she gets fired from her waitressing job. Her dad, who is a WWE wrestler, like has been away for most of her childhood because she resulted from an affair of him and her mom. It's great. It's a great book. I really recommend it. But
coaster.
He comes to her door and needs a new living situation. And so her roommates, two of her roommates just moved out because the baby, of course, noisy, keeping them up. And so she needs a new roommate. So he moves in. Well, in the meantime, she, Margot, finds out about OnlyFans. And OnlyFans is, a social media site that has pornography. And so she creates an OnlyFans account. And I learned so much about OnlyFans from this book, by the way. So thank you for that education, Ruthie Thorne. But you get subscription money for each new follower. Like they have to pay to follow. So she starts one and she starts getting money that way. And she ends up telling her dad, who at first is mad, but then is like, no, you're creating a brand. Like you should be able to use your body how you want to. You're not putting it out there. You're not having sex with all these random people. It is just you using your body for that benefit. And then she has a conversation with her roommate, who also like she knows about it too. And they all come together to help her in this, which sounds gross, but it's not. But her roommate is like, why are all these people calling you a slut? What's the difference between a woman who is married, who is using her body in marriage with sex, or who is like seen on the street as pretty versus someone who goes on OnlyFans and is seen as pretty and her body's an object there as well? And then the roommate's like, oh my gosh, I just realized it. And why people say this person's a slut and yet that person isn't. It's because she knows she's doing it. And she's using it for her own benefit. And I was like, oh, like it really made you think about how women's bodies are viewed. Because in the context of like a marital relationship, it's seen as fine. Like act as kinky as you want, whatever. Like your husband comes in, like admires you, whatever. But if you do it outside of that and you use it to your own benefit, and especially you use it to make money, then you're a slut.
Like exotic dancers. I feel exactly. I've always had that like, wait a second. So as women, if we let people look at our bodies, we're bad. But it's the men that are willing to spend the money to see the body and they're fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're bad because and I just mean we as like collective we. Like I've always found that dynamic very interesting.
It is. And when you look at it that way,
that it's wrong, but it's
it's complicated. It is so complicated. So like if you're listening right now and you're like, oh, that is complicated, and you're just feeling guilty for not being in the mood, well, yeah, I mean, this is such a complicated issue and you don't have an on-off switch. There's so much going on in our brains when it comes to this.
Well, and I think there's also the issue of the on-off switch. Okay, I wish I had a boing. Boing! Like men
again, we're classy. We're classy.
I know, right? Men have an on-off switch that is very visible. Like there's no question whether or not they are in the mood. And I think as a woman, like, not only can they not necessarily tell by looking at us if we're in the mood or not, like we can with them, but I think too sometimes there's even a question in our own mind. Like, I think I'm in the mood, but I'm not sure if I'm in the mood. And then I know that there's also that shame on whether or not you're able to participate in sex in a smooth manner. See where I'm going with that? Like whether or not you're wet enough or not. And I think that a lot of, like, we have been taught in general that when a woman is turned on and in the mood for sex, she'll be wet. But as you've gotten older. Yeah, as we've gotten older, we have learned that is not necessarily true. Either A, we are lucky enough to have that validated by finding that out from hearing it from a sex therapist or some knowledgeable person on the subject.
Or Cardi B.
Yeah, or that's a good one.
Yeah.
or second B, whatever. No, well, I can't say B. That we've just figured out that we can be in the mood and not be as wet down there sometimes. And that's not our fault. It's not that we don't want to have sex, but then that also then you're running into the whole issue of like, well, now it's uncomfortable to have sex. You might even be embarrassed about it. If you're unfortunate enough to have a partner that doesn't understand how a woman's body works, they might shame you in it and be like,
that's not right.
Yeah, you're never wet enough for me. Or like, obviously you don't want to have sex because you're not
How
wet.
dare they? How dare they?
I'm just saying that those kinds of situations can come. And then there's shame. And then there's that stress.
Can I shame them for saying that?
Go right ahead.
Like, can I shame?
Shame. But I mean, like, so then you have that added stress now of every time that there's a sexual interaction. Oh my God, am I going to be wet enough? Is this going to work out? Like, is it, are they going to get mad at me? And maybe you don't like the feeling of lubricant. So then it's like, oh, now we're going to have to use lubricant and I don't like lubricant. Like there's a lot of things that then now your brain is on overload and sex is like, God, it has left the building. It is with Elvis. It is gone.
It's with Elvis.
Elvis has left the building.
About that one.
That's what
I know.
That's what it was. Yeah. See, Bree's brain is an interesting labyrinth. That's all I gotta say.
It's fun. It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into some other things that you may be feeling right after this. I am a water connoisseur and I cannot handle it when it doesn't taste good. I will like toss out water that I'm like, no, that's not good.
And that is why we feel like you guys have got to check out AquaTrue. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process. And their countertop purifiers, they work with no installation or plumbing. I mean, that makes it work for even me. It removes 15 times more contaminants than your ordinary water pitcher filters and are specifically designed to combat chemicals in your water supply.
And they have water purifiers to fit every type of home, from installation-free countertop purifiers to higher capacity under the sink options. They even have a Wi-Fi connected purifier and mineral boost options. Yeah, it's really cool. So AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and even makes a great gift. Today, our listeners, you receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to AquaTrue, that's AquaTru.com and enter code NGM at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to AquaTrue.com and use promo code NGM.
If you're a parent, I invite you to join us at the Mindful Mama podcast, where it's all about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. With sometimes hilarious and always thought-provoking experts and friends, at Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm Hunter Clark Fields, and I can't wait to see you there. Listen in to the Mindful Mama podcast.
When it comes to raising kids, there's so much to consider. Things like, what do we feed them? When do we feed them? How do they sleep? What does it look like to raise kind kids? How does their nervous system work? How do I keep myself calm? What are my triggers? There's so much that comes into play, and we are distilling all of that information for you at Voices of Your Village podcast, where we bring experts in the field of early childhood and education and psychology and across the board so that you don't have to comb the internet for information. You get to show up and hang out and have shame-free, judgment-free conversations and insights into what it looks like to raise kind, empathetic, emotionally intelligent humans. I'm Alyssa Blask Campbell. I have a master's degree in early childhood education. I'm a mom of 2, and I am walking this journey right alongside you doing this work. Come hang out with me at Voices of Your Village, and we can dive into real conversations with actionable tips.
So some things to like start this conversation off with your partner, and just giving you some vocabulary and some words, because a lot of the time we don't know exactly how we're feeling, but when we're giving the words to communicate them, it becomes so much easier to have this conversation. Especially when you're talking about an issue like sex, it's so easy for your partner to go on the defensive about it and make it all about him and thinking you don't like him, when really that isn't the case whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like one of the first things that you may be feeling right now is you're feeling unsupported.
Yeah.
Unsupported at home, having to do all the things, having to like take care of all the kids, take care of bedtime. Maybe you even feel a little bit resentful to your partner. Like I felt that, the resentment. Oh my God.
So my biggest thing I had in my previous relationship was that my partner, he didn't sleep well. So he wanted to go to bed earlier than I did because you know me, I'm a bit of a night owl. And so like we would get the kids to bed and he'd be like, hey, can we have some like time here right now? And I'm like, oh, but I still have to clean up the kitchen and I still have dishes and sink. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll be fast. It'll be fine. Okay. So then I'm being asked to do this and my mind is not on sex at all. It is 100% on the stack of dirty dishes in the sink that I'm going to have to do after we're done. And for me, for my personal choices, like I like to cuddle afterwards. I like to like reminisce and what just happened, but I'm not going to get to. Why? Because I'm going to have to hop out of bed and go wash the stupid dishes before I drift off into a happy sleep with my husband who I just had relations with. I don't get that relaxation. I don't get to have any of that. My mind is on other things. And I'm feeling completely unsupported in the act as well as in the relationship at home. And that is a conversation that has to happen.
Absolutely. Because I mean, if he just did dishes more often than like, or like actually cleaned up the kitchen, you wouldn't even have those thoughts. It's funny. I had a former boss who wanted to write a book about how to get your wife to have sex with you. And this was like early time in Hollywood. Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
It was before the Me Too movement, let's just say that.
Okay. All right. All right.
And I won't mention his name.
I can imagine this book was not thoughtful of towards women, but go on. What did he suggest?
No, his main tip was to put on your calendar or like get an automatic flower delivery. So your wife just got flowers all the time and like you didn't have to do anything. And yet she would feel appreciated because she got flowers during it. And he's like, isn't this a great idea? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm all like, would I like the flowers? Yes. But the fact that you're putting absolutely no thought or effort into it, it feels like I am being manipulated.
It's
right?
Yeah, it's the thought and the effort that goes into it. And, you know, looking back at the time, I mean, gosh, how old was my boss at the time? He was what, like 27.
I was going to say late 20s.
I mean, he was young. Yeah, he was young.
I think they haven't figured out. 20-year-olds.
I was like 22 at the time. So he must have been,
I would say 21 to 32.
Yeah.
You think you know it, but you don't.
I'd be interested to what he thinks now about that. I haven't talked to him for a very, very long time. But yeah, I'd be interested to what he thinks now.
So I think that if you're feeling unsupported at home and you're feeling like sex is another chore and you've got so many other things that you're doing, having that conversation is super helpful. And then not in the moment, because neither of you really want to be having the conversation in the moment because he wants to do one thing, you want to do something else, and you're both feeling pissed off.
Exactly. Another thing was you don't feel loved. You feel like a doll.
Yes. See, and I think that comes back to the chore thing, right?
Yeah, it feels like a chore, something to check off the list.
Yep. And that's another thing. Like, not everybody, you have to figure out what you and your partner want, and you have to come to like an understanding of that. Like talking during sex. Some people are very much against that. And some people need to hear, I love you. I love this. Like having that conversation back and forth. Or like you said, the cuddle time, right?
The cuddle time, like you have to feel loved and adored, and like it's more than just sex. It has to be like you feel protected. I like to feel protected and I like to feel close and connected. And if this goes into the next tip as well, the always being in a rush. If you have like 2 crazy work schedules and you never see your partner and you feel it's just like a wham bam thank you ma'am, like and that's the only interaction you get, like it's not going to be good.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on scheduling sexy time?
No, too much pressure. I would say too much pressure. For me in particular, I would like dread it because here's the thing. personally, I just feel so rushed all the time. Like I'm trying to get so much done. I'm a constant busy body. I'm like, I want to go do this. I want to go do this. Like I have a very hard time sitting still. You've seen like working with me and being my friend. I'm like, let's go do this right now. Let's go over here. Let's plan for this.
We're
So
both emotionally driven. I'd say that.
Yes. I'm always on the go. And so like, I think that sex is a form of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it can be planned personally. Like, I don't think it can be
For
planned.
you.
Like for me, yeah, when you're in the first throes of like relationship and everything, and it happens all the time, great. It's a natural thing to happen all the time. But like, it's just, I wouldn't like it. I
Okay.
would feel like this pressure to perform at that time and to get in the mood at that time. Do you know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean, and I feel the same way. However, I do think that there are some people that they need to know that that time is set aside, and that's great for them. But
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
great
you,
for them.
but I love hearing you say that because I feel like, first of all, that's a big advice that's given if you're in a rush, right? Like if you guys
Mhm.
feel like you're not having that time together, then schedule it. Okay, that's great. But don't feel guilty if that doesn't work for you. Joanne and Bree
Yeah.
are here to tell you that we're both people that like, no, don't put it on a calendar because the same as you. I would feel so much pressure. I'd be like, crap, I really hope I don't get a migraine today. I got to do everything I possibly can to not be tired. I got to make sure that no matter what I'm doing today, that I don't get a headache. I don't have a stomach ache, no cramps, like nothing, because I have to be 100% in the mood because, oh my God, it's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar.
How much pressure is that?
It's a lot of pressure and it puts more pressure. And I think it goes back to being on the to-do list. It's something on the to-do list.
I think for some people it works, but it doesn't work for
Yeah.
everybody. And don't beat yourself up if it doesn't for you.
Exactly. And I think for that always in a rush thing, the way to fix that is to make your schedule a little clearer or
Yeah.
go away with your partner. I find that
I
like
love that.
I don't get headaches when I'm away. Like when I'm on vacation, my shoulders relax, all the headaches and symptoms go away. And I'm like, whoa, I'm a healthy being right now. What am I doing in my day-to-day life
Now
I'm like
that I will plan
experiencing
for.
this?
Yeah, that I will plan for. I'm fine with that. Like,
Vacation.
yeah. So like we have a tendency, my current husband, I have a tendency to like make weekends away. And we typically would do it on the weeks that the kids were with their dad. And I loved that. I always loved it because like we would just find a place and just go, and just 2 days away from the dog and the house and just everything. Just it lets you have that, like you just said, where you're much more relaxed. You're able to connect. There's no pressure. And
Yeah.
things just
You get
are
to
naturally
explore
better.
a new place. Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah.
It's good. And then I see the last tip is it's not about him.
Yes. Okay, because I think that this is kind of like what I talked about before. And again, I got this from my Tia Zoom session. They were like, too many times we focus on sex. And again, to recommend the book, Come As You Are,
Mhm.
too many times sex is focused on orgasm, which first of all is easier for men to climax than it is for women statistically, just in general.
And it
right?
depends on your cycle too, how engaging the orgasm is for you.
Yes. So
Yes.
so not only so there's that factor. And then two, as women, we do tend to go with that on-off switch that we physically see on our partner. And
Mhm.
so again, it becomes that it's about him.
Yeah.
And not
it's
about
him.
us. And we don't think,
No,
and we
yeah.
don't give ourselves the consideration that we need. Like we've been telling you this whole episode. You're tired, you're stressed. It's not a good time to try to have sex.
But it's also that feeling that you're being selfish.
Yes.
That always comes in. Like, don't,
Yes.
like, you feel so selfish having any attention on you whatsoever. And it's just part of, like, how we've been raised, I think. And I want to say, like, it's
Yeah.
definitely a Generation X thing. Millennials are kind of on the cusp. Although my daughter says I'm a Generation Xer who's barely a millennial and pretending I'm a millennial. And I took real big offense to that because she doesn't know me.
I think she's just the teen pushing the buttons.
She just wanted to push
We talked
my
about this
button.
the other day. Teens are vicious.
But
They
it's
are
like
vicious.
this whole feeling of like you're selfish. you like, don't put the attention on me because then I have to perform in a way that's going to make you happy. That's the thing.
Yes.
It's like you don't even think about yourself. You're like, I need to perform in a way that's going to make you happy and not going to make you upset.
And how many times have you been in a sexual encounter with your partner where they came, you did not, and it was perfectly fine? And what I mean is like your partner was like, oh, well, she didn't come.
Oh, not for my partner.
Okay.
No,
but I mean,
it's
like,
always been like, have to be equal.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm happy for you with that.
But like sometimes, like if it can't be equal, I'll be okay with it. I'll be like, you know what, this is a lot of work right now, and I have a lot on my mind, and it's just not going to happen.
It's one thing if it's you saying that, but I mean, like, I think a lot of us sometimes, like, the expectation is that when the man orgasms, okay, sex is done. And
so here I go to the men again. Okay. Shame on you. Shame. Like, there's my finger. Tisk, men. Tisk. No. That is not how it should be. That is not it.
No, like, and if you guys are in a position where, I mean, I'll admit it, I was in my mid 30s before I had an orgasm. I did not know how to do it. I was dumb and had subscribed to the thought process that some girls just don't get orgasms. It's just some girls just don't. And don't even.
Did you ever read Cosmo or anything like that?
You know, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, yes, but like it wasn't something I had convinced myself that some people, because again, that is a rhetoric that goes around that like some women just do not have orgasms or cannot get orgasms through penetration sex. And so I had just believed that's where I was. And again, my point being of this whole story, I just totally put myself out there on that one. But the point of this story is that
I'm about to shame someone very in particular right now because I know how those ages line up.
Girl. This starts all the way back in college. So yeah. But I had to learn what was good for me. And that meant I had to like let go of that shame or that like I couldn't handle an audience. Like having my husband at the time like messing around with me and like staring at me and being like, does this work? Does that feel? Is this good? I'm like, I felt so like I was on a stage with a spotlight and like, this is not how this works. So again, I had to eventually figure out what was good for me so that I could figure out how to communicate that going forward. And thank God I like finally figured it out. But I'm just saying that like you do need to be able to be relaxed and to be able to have that conversation because you should be a part of this. Every single time you should be heard and thought of.
Exactly.
And like you said, like maybe you don't come, that's fine. Sometimes, you know, your husband doesn't come. That's fine as long as you both are fine with that. Not that it's
our blasphemous church spree. Amen.
Yeah.
Sex
yes.
Amen.
Amen. And then the other thing I want to throw out there again to my perimenopause, menopause women is that it's also not your fault nor his fault if you start to have a decreased libido or some of that vaginal dryness that comes with aging. It's normal. Talk about it so that he doesn't take offense to it because it's not something you can control. And I feel like sometimes it kind of goes back into that whole, then he thinks that he sucks. And then there's this shame that starts swirling around all of it again. And then it's a pressure thing.
Yeah.
That like, oh my God.
So like all of this is all about education. And the fact that you're listening to this podcast and you've made it to this point so far, we hope that we've armed you with some things that you could feel less guilty about how you feel about sex and through sex, and hopefully give you some avenues to explore
and know that you're not alone, right?
And know that you're not alone. Exactly. The book is phenomenal. Come As You Are. We're going to put a link in the show notes for that. And I feel like my sign off has a double meaning today. Remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you overwhelmed by the things that get in the way of you doing what you want to do? Are you looking for ways to simplify life to better align with your values? Do you want to create space in your schedule so you have room for more of the good stuff? Play, joy, relationships, gratitude, and more? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I invite you to check out Edit Your Life, a podcast to help you edit the unnecessary from your life so you have more room to enjoy the awesome. Through episodes with me, Christine Coe, and a range of super smart, compassionate, and thoughtful guests, you'll come away with big picture insights and practical ways to declutter your home, schedule, and mental space without getting bogged down by perfection. I have always believed that small moments and actions matter tremendously. My goal is to help you find agency and space in your life through doable baby steps that will leave you feeling accomplished instead of overwhelmed. Check out Edit Your Life wherever you enjoy your podcasts.